Hi, my name is Garrett. I am currently 25. The purpose of making this video is to kind of just describe the, like the video is titled. I had a point in my life that I very much consider a rock bottom moment. It probably wasn't like, true rock bottom. I feel like it could have gotten worse, but I just hit a very low point in my life, and I was very far from the person that I wanted to be. I hated the circumstances I put myself in. Uh, yeah, just so far from the life I wanted and the person I wanted to be. Um, the purpose of this is just to just document my journey and my process of trying to create growth and progress in my life and slowly become the person I really want to be. Um, the title is a little bit misleading. I definitely hit a point in my life where I feel it was, what people would describe as a rock bottom moment. I'm not actually like in that moment right now. I'd say that was probably like a year and a half ago. I am by no means where I want to be, but I have made some progress and I've had growth since then. This isn't actually week one of like trying to recover, but it's like week one of documenting the journey. Um, so just to summarize, this is gonna be the longest video that I make for a long time, just because it's kind of the foundation of the channel. I'm just laying out the groundwork and giving more in-depth description of what I have struggled with in my life. It's just naturally going to take a little longer. The things I'm going to do in this video are just detail like what I've struggled with in my life, just a brief summary of my life, or the journey uh, in regards to like self-destruction and growth up until this point. Kind of detail where I'm at right now, and what I plan to do moving forward in order to create the growth I want to see in my life, and like what the purpose of this channel is moving forward. And I want to disclose two things. One, I have no idea how to like edit videos well, or create great YouTube videos yet. Um, so this is just going to be completely unedited, transparent footage of me talking to a camera. So no like flashy effects or cuts or anything. Um, Two, I go over some things that like might make people uncomfortable when I'm talking about my past. There've been points where I've struggled with like suicide or thinking about killing myself. I'm gonna talk about that to some degree. There's just a lot that is um, kind of hard for me to talk about and might be hard for some people to hear. So just expect that, I guess. Um, So yeah, starting off, I'm just gonna go in around high school, where some of my behavior started. In high school, I was an incredibly insecure person. I really did not like myself. I did not like. Uh, I had no confidence in who I was, or you know, I didn't think I was likable. I thought I was like unworthy of love. I just hated who I was, and um, yeah, just didn't have a lot of friends. I considered myself a loser by the high school social hierarchy I was. When I was 13, I started watching porn. Uh, and pretty much just became a daily basis from there on out. And I started playing video games pretty heavily. I had very religious parents, and they were pretty strict on like performance in school and the behaviors I was allowed to engage in. So a lot of it was, the porn was just completely under wraps. Like it was entirely secretive, and a lot of the video game activity was also just not. I don't know. I hid a lot from my parents, but so like I did perform well in school because of their expectations. I did do what I had to do in order to fulfill their expectations and keep them off my back. But outside of that, my entire life and like purpose was just pleasure and hanging out with friends, watching porn, playing video games, watching TV shows. I was the hedonist without understanding what that meant, and I just yeah pursued pleasure. That was all I really did. Those the habits with like pornography and just chasing instant gratification developed over years without me really recognizing what they meant. Um, at some point when I was around 18, my Xbox broke and I started smoking weed instead of playing video games. That started as like a weekend thing. Quickly turned into a like everyday thing within a year, and um, yeah. So pretty much, I entered college hating myself and having these built-up behaviors with weed and porn that were fairly destructive, but I didn't really recognize them as so yet. Um, I my freshman year at college, I had to get 4 surgeries on what's called a polynatal cyst. It was really depressing to me at the time. At the time, it was the hardest thing I'd been through, and I couldn't do any sort of physical activity. I couldn't sit down. I had to stand or lie down for like, or lie on my side specifically for like 12 months. Uh, and yeah, so like I couldn't really. I don't know. I was in a new place with nobody I knew, and the one thing that like helped me make friends and helped me build confidence was lifting weights and like playing sports, or like just recreational physical activity. And I couldn't do either of those things, so I was just really struggling. I didn't like myself, and I didn't like my life. And out of that, I started really trying to learn how to build the life I wanted and how to improve myself, and started getting really into personal development. I started reading about money and personal development and wealth, and just a lot of things, honestly, like science, philosophy, religion. Um, I Yeah, and I at some point in that freshman year started trying to stop watching porn because I recognized like this isn't a good thing. It was very attached to the no fap movement at the time with like YouTube videos on no fap and talking about the magical benefits of like girls will love you and you'll have superpowers, and I didn't fully believe it, but I had never kissed a girl or been on a date or had any sort of like romantic interaction, so I was desperate as hell. But I also just recognized like it probably wasn't good for me. Um, so started trying to stop and didn't have any consistent success. Um, between freshman and sophomore year, I was definitely making progress in some areas. Like I was hyper ambitious. I set the goal of like when I'm 52, I want to have $3 billion in liquid assets, and like reverse engineered that from 30-year goals, 10-year goals, um, 5 year, 1 year, 3 month. Like I tried to reverse engineer that down to the day, and I was very fixated on like learning about money, learning about the career path I was trying to take, building myself up through exercise, reading, meditating, cold showers, just everything like the personal development lifestyle, or the like YouTube self development lifestyle. But I was still struggling to kick the habit with porn, and I hadn't even recognized weed as a problem at that point. Uh, and after like a year of trying and failing, I bought this program called Porn Reboot Implementation Program by this guy named J.K. Amezi. It's pretty good. I recommend it if anyone wants something. But I just wasn't ready to actually like take action on it at the time, and there were like parts of it that I guess kind of disagree with, but overall it was a very very good program, and really helped me understand like the addictive process, what that actually entails. But yeah, and it did create what seemed like progress in my life, but I was not focused on progress. I was focused on perfection. I was focused on the perfect attainment of my goals. I was focused on being better than everyone else because I felt so worthless and insecure. Um, and kind of for the next for sophomore year and the first half of junior year, just was in and out of the cycle of like taking on every positive habit and living in perfect alignment with like I have 16 hours worth of goals for the day and complete them all and then just reset and do it again and do it again. And then I'd crash and smoke weed and or get out of control with weed and start smoking weed when I didn't plan to, and then relapse with porn and then kind of go on a bender for a couple days. And it was just in and out of the cycle of like living imperfect, living perfectly, and then kind of crashing and self-destructing. And there was a point my junior year where I got really, I started getting really scared because I recognized that weed was a problem for the first time, and just really could not figure out how to stop smoking weed because I loved it, and it was a crutch in a lot of ways for me. I started trying to do psychedelic therapy on myself, and had one trip that was fantastic, and it like really kind of helped me work through a lot of the negative emotions and the fear and the doubt and just restore belief in myself. And I had a really good 3 months going into 2021. Um, at the start of 2021, I had like, I, yeah, it was pretty much 3 months of like, they were good by my standards at the time. And, to some degree still by my standards. Like I was just very productive, and I felt like I was really living in alignment with who I wanted to be, and I was making very clear progress. Um, but there were cracks in the foundation that I can very easily see now, and relapse of porn at some point, and at that like after that went on my first like real bender for a couple days where it was just like any source of instant gratification I could find to blast my brain with dopamine and opioids and distract myself from the self-hatred and self-loathing I was feeling and the shame. I would go to. So it was like my day just became like wake up super late, watch porn immediately, uh, go get fast food, binge watch a TV show, watch porn, play video games, watch porn. And for like 3 days, it was just, I'd never experienced that, where it was like from the beginning to the end of the day, it was just blasting my brain with giving into whatever impulsive craving popped up, except for weed. For those 3 days, I didn't give into weed. I had a couple days where I kind of got myself back on track, and my accountability partner told me that the common denominator in my relapses leading up to that had been my friendships and the influences in my life and the people I was around, and I should distance myself from them. I was very dissatisfied with my life at college. I did not like the university I was at. I had fairly few friends that I considered good friends. Most of my like great friends were back at home, separated from me. And I also, at the time, was agnostic, and told that to my parents. And there was about 2 years between 2020 and 2022 where that was a huge thing in my relationship with my family. It was just very kind of shattered. And that was a source of a lot of pain for me. So there's kind of a lot of factors going into it, but I just kind of gave up entirely and was like, fuck this. I am just going to let myself smoke weed and enjoy the rest of my year. And I don't want to like cut off all my friends and be completely alone. And just crashed like harder than I had ever crashed before. What I described as my day was my day for like 2 months, except add in smoking weed from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep, to the point where like I didn't produce thoughts anymore by the end of the day because I was like so numbed out. And it was absolutely miserable the entire time. I hated myself, and I spoke to myself so poorly. And I kind of just maintained this like, okay, I know this is terrible, but like I'll get it together next week. And then next week happens, 12 times, and 3 months later, I have destroyed my life to some extent. There was about 6 months where I just kind of went off the deep end with no sort of. I just was so depressed by what had happened that I just stayed in it and didn't really try to fix it and didn't want to deal with it. And going into my senior year, there was, um, I was still struggling with the behaviors, but I was like, at least there's more of like harm reduction techniques in the sense of I was like, okay, I'm gonna at least stay afloat with school, and I'm because before I just stopped going to class for like 2 months and pretty much I didn't fail anything, but it was because the professors were very empathetic because of COVID. Um, but yeah, senior year, I just like I was still self-destructing a lot in and out of these like very destructive and completely uh, apathetic cycles. But I did a lot of self-reflection, and I started really trying to understand like what is behind this, like what is going wrong here, how do I fix it? Doing a lot of writing, and uh, yeah, and started making progress. I would say for where I was at the time, I started making progress. There was in my senior year the porn, and throughout in that binge with uh, during my junior year in those 6 months, like I started escalating with my porn use to places I had never been in terms of just like extreme porn. I consider myself straight, or I did consider myself straight, and I still kind of do, but uh, I like I had a very religious upbringing. The idea of not being straight, while intellectually was fine with me, it was like a source of a lot of shame and confusion and like fear. And in that time, I like escalated into gay porn, trans porn, hypno porn. Those things caused like an identity crisis, and I kind of just tried to shove it down and not address the fact that that happened. Um, or and was happening, continued to happen, and like in my worst moments, like I escalated into I saw like bestiality, I saw rape porn, um, and those things were, I mean, especially like the rape porn, I very rarely happened because I even though like there was this compulsive part of me that was just like whatever creates the most intense feeling, give in. There was still a strong like moral revulsion to like what the fuck am I doing watching this? And so it happened, but like whenever I got that just craving for like intensity and something that's gonna make me feel like just a lot of just yeah extreme emotions like anxiety, fear, confusion, like pleasure. I mean, it all just gets mixed together in this like mass of stimulation. And I would go to like gay, trans, hypno because it was the least morally atrocious in my mind. Like I could justify it as like the only person I'm hurting by watching this is myself. I'm not like hurting other people. And at some point started like occasionally getting on a trans escort site, which again I want to emphasize like I have no issue with any sexuality. I have no issue with trans people. For me, it was just like I had some subconscious shame and identity issues to work through relating to this because I had been taught from really early age like this isn't okay. Uh, and so really it was a huge source of shame and confusion for me. Um, I never like went through with it, but throughout senior year, and the 6 months after college, like started just almost going through with it multiple times and using that as like just a place to like get that intense fix. Um, After college, I went and did this sales job, as a door to door sales job, with the intent of like, this is gonna fix my life. I'm capable of making a lot of money, and I'll make that money, and I'll use this to start exercising and meditating and build this perfect schedule and routine and build up all my positive habits and fix my life entirely and get back on track. Uh, Very perfectionistic mindset. um, and failed. I mean, it was door-to-door sales is a hard gig in itself. It's you face constant rejection, and it's very requires a lot of self-discipline. You're the only one that really like controls if you work or not. Um, and yeah, I just went in and out of have a good couple days and then have a bad couple days where I relapsed and didn't work, and then I just never built any sort of momentum, and reached a point where they told me you had to get sales by this date or get a certain amount of sales by this date or you're going to get fired. And I was like, I just can't do this right now, and quit. But I got fired. Or I was going to, at least. And this was the first time I'd really like failed at something that I cared a lot about. And it just created like I just kind of shut down again. And went and lived with a friend because I couldn't stand the thought of like the stipulations my parents gave me for living with them. I was like, these are not helpful for me. These are not going to create a good environment. Um, so I went and lived with a friend and was just like, I was still trying to analyze what's going on, but I was really like living off of other people and just letting my compulsive behaviors do their thing and just trying to like not kill myself, to be honest. I mean, there were points in junior year where I thought about killing myself, but I clung to like, I'm not going to do that to the people in my life, and I believe I'm going to get out of this. And that same thing kind of happened here, where like I did want to die. I was just so confused and tired and anxious and afraid of like, how do I overcome this, and what is my life going to look like because of these things. Like, will I ever figure this out? And I got another remote sales job that was cold calling, which I'd done sales before. I'd succeeded at sales before, so like I knew I could do it. But same exact process, just like didn't actually work most of the time. And uh, yeah, I got fired from that too. And then I had to move back with my parents and spent like 3 months just pretending to work and not actually working at all, and like was completely broke by the end of that year. There was a point where I got on that escort site and didn't there wasn't like an escort, but there was a trans woman just advertising like, hey, come meet me. And I did, and we didn't like have sex, but it was, sexual experience. And I like buried that. I just did not. I refused to let myself actually think about it and just pretended like it didn't happen. Around 2023, I went to a different state, went to Dallas or Houston with my friend to do our own door-to-door window cleaning thing, and it worked pretty well. I mean, at least compared to the baseline of just completely self-destructing and coasting at zero. Like, I was making enough money to survive, and it gave me this picture of like, okay, this could work. This could be a path forward. And my friend decided to go home and just wait till it got warmer where I live. I decided to go to Dallas instead and keep writing it out with this idea of like, if I make enough sales, like this is the new solution that will get me back on track with my life. And like a couple days into being there, I like procrastinated working the first few days, and I relapsed with porn. And then like a week into being there, I got on the escort site and went and saw a trans escort and didn't turn around this time, and went through with it. And yeah, I mean, it's still a source of shame for me. I've gotten a lot better. I've shared it with enough people that like it is not, I'm not terrified to reveal it. But I just did not know how to cope with that at the time. Like the door that was opened and the fear of like what line did I just cross and like where will this take me? I was like really ready to kill myself for like 2 days after that. I just kept on trying to shove down this thought of like I have enough money in my account to go buy a gun and drive out to the middle of nowhere and blow my head off. I started trying to convince myself like maybe in the long run it'll be a good thing for the people in my life because they'll like it'll be an experience that causes them to cherish the other loved ones in their life and their other friends and like be better people and take advantage of their relationships more, which was just such a terrible headspace to be in when you start having thoughts like that. Um, but didn't I mean I just for like 30 days I stayed in Dallas and just drowned out. Like I stopped smoking weed actually, which was I'm still surprised. I'm like after that I would have thought I went straight back to it. But I'd gone into Dallas with like a month and a half sober. And I had to come home eventually because I was broke and told my parents some things, but not everything. I told them just like I failed and it was broke, and I had to live with them. Uh, and then became 2023 was just kind of a year of I came home and did the window cleaning at home and made like a couple $1,000s or like 5 grand in 2 weeks or so, and then just stopped working, relapsed to porn, went and saw escorts, and I usually see like 3 to 4, both trans and female escorts, and like a 4 or 5 day period, and then I would like stop, and the urge to do that would die, and but I just like would not want to deal with the fact that I was doing that, and so I just kind of went back into my old pattern of porn, uh, binge watching shows, YouTube, movies, garbage food, hanging out with friends, like just anything to distract myself from my life. And I was just doing that in and out for like a year, where I would struggle to work because it was my own company, and it was a hard gig doing door to door sales. So I would just like some days procrastinate and decide like give into the desire to not work, and then I'd usually relapse, and it just created this positive feedback loop of I'm going off the deep end with porn, so I'm not working, and then I go broke, and then just like the behaviors, the obsession with getting back on track and doing this higher risk, higher difficulty activity to get there was working in tandem with these addictive behaviors to create just these periods of just like self destruction. And eventually, I recognized I need to get a stable job and yeah, like get something that has accountability and like it's easy for me to get myself to go and do because I just was making zero actual progress over months at a time. I'd look back and be like, I've done, I've gotten nowhere. I just needed to do something, even if it wasn't most, the highest potential opportunity available to me. I just needed to do something that like built consistency and discipline and structure in my life. So I went and started serving tables. And that immediately did have a positive effect. Like it was easier for me to, start working on developing positive habits, uh, and reduce the amount of time I spent watching porn and visiting escorts. I still had one more like kind of, or I still had like one more period after that where I kind of went off the deep end. But for 2024, still struggle with porn, still struggle with going to the escort site and like facing the temptation to go through with it, but didn't ever. Part of that was the fact I started dating a girl, and that was a added motivation of like, don't do this to her. Like I'm not gonna actually cheat on her. Didn't still didn't own the fact that like what I was doing was still wrong, wrong to her, and just wrong in general. But yeah, I mean, I for like 5 6 months I stayed working like 50, 60 hours at this restaurant and saved up a lot of, 20 grand. And just like life was looking good, better than I had in a long time. I was like, okay, I figured this out, or I built discipline. Now I'm gonna quit and go full time with the window cleaning. And immediately, like I'd been doing window cleaning on the side, and it had been working well, which just added this feeling of like, okay, I can do this now. And then I immediately just stopped working entirely and spiraled with porn, and didn't see any escorts, thankfully, but like spent like 2 months just living off my savings and making impulsive purchases and being just undisciplined with my life and giving into instant gratification and with porn and YouTube shows, movies, whatever I could find. And um, yeah, I um, at some point ran out of money and had to just go back to serving tables at the same restaurant because I was like, I have to live now. Like, I have an apartment. I've created a life of my own. I do need money to survive, and I'm not going back to like ground zero. So I just went back there and spent last few months of 2024 working 60 something hour weeks and kind of recovering and building up some savings again and just kind of getting financially back on track, but was still watching porn and wasn't developing any sort of positive habits. And then that brings me to kind of where I am now. In 2025, I have completely dropped this, or it's probably still in there a little bit, but I've attempted to completely drop this attachment to my life plan and to adopt this mindset of like, life is about progress in itself, and the process of striving towards goals and striving to improve and building things is what actually produces lasting joy and fulfillment and meaning. And so it's not about like the attainment of the goals. It's not about setting arbitrary timelines that I need to complete things by. Like it's about consistently striving to build the life you want and to improve the world and improve your own life, the lives around you, the world as a whole. Like, that is what will actually create meaning, I think, for most people, and definitely for me. At least I'll speak for myself. So I've just really focused on dropping these artificial timelines that I attach to things, and just focused on like, I know I need structure, so I'm working, and I'm gonna keep working at this restaurant for a year, at least, if not 2 years, probably a couple of years, honestly. And then I'm gonna work 40 hours, and then I've been working like 15 hours on the business I'm trying to start, which is called Progress Theory. And then it's starting off just like build select habits. Um, I think habits are huge. I think beliefs, character traits, and habits are kind of the things that create a optimized and competent, effective person. And building a strong belief system within yourself, developing character traits through repetitive, sustained action, and creating habits that push you in a positive direction and build positive momentum. Those are core principles to me that create progress in someone's life. So just where I'm at now, I will kind of show you one of the tools that I use to track my progress and understand how I'm doing. I've created a spreadsheet for tracking my general progress in life. Again, I'm going to try to edit this together so that you can see the sheet and my face, but who knows? I might not be able to figure that out immediately, so it might just be the spreadsheet, where I pretty much have split the areas of like what I'm working on right now. Is I'm trying to develop consistently work the amount of hours I want to work, which right now is about 60, honestly, which is kind of a lot, but I've been doing that for a while now. So it's, I built my way into that already. Track my finances. I In 2024 I got pretty consistent with that too, of like setting a monthly budget, tracking everything I'm spending, and saving money. So those are areas I've been working on for a while. In 2025, I kind of came into it with no positive habits built, so I've really focused on uh, tracking like the four habits, kind of five honestly. It's more than I initially intended to stack at once. But like daily reminders and goals, like at the beginning of the day, just framing my day with things that I want to remind myself immediately, and the goals for like this is the plan for the day. Meditation, I found for me personally, and I honestly believe for everyone, is like one of the most powerful tools for overcoming addictive behavior and overcoming procrastination, just negative urges in general, because it allows you to fully separate from thoughts. Damn, this is long. Um, and then exercise to just build up, physical health and mental and emotional like discipline. It just helps physiologically in every way. Then texting accountability partners and doing the spreadsheet every day. And then I track the urges I overcome. Like when I want to watch porn, do I follow through with the kind of tool I've created, and do I watch porn or not? And then I track hours of porn consumed, escorts texted, escorts visited. I think tracking metrics is huge for creating progress, because it really like eliminates self delusion and makes you, numbers don't lie if you're inputting them accurately. It really forces you to just look at where you're at, and it allows you to, at least I'll speak for myself, it allows me to focus on gradual improvement rather than like I want to eliminate porn from my life. It's like, okay, month one I watched 11 hours of porn, cut down by 10%. Like it allows you to set smaller goals that, like, over time, yeah, it'd be great if I could just not watch porn at all, uh, immediately, and that work. But that's like, it's a habit that's been building for 12 years at this point. It's the human brain just doesn't work like that. So instead, aiming for slow, steady improvement of positive behavior and reduction of negative behavior over a year, 2 years, 3 years will create massive change. Um, so yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm in a really good spot right now. Like February was pretty good, but I still struggled some with like porn and texting escorts. There's a point like halfway through February where some stuff happened that I'm not going to talk about here. But I, uh, okay, I'll just briefly say it. I revealed everything that I just talked about to my girlfriend, and just felt an immediate like boost in motivation and relinquishment of shame, of like, there's no excuse. While it's okay if I engage in this behavior, it's okay if I'm not perfect. Like, there's no excuse to not try my best. And there was a point where it just clicked, of like, I started trying to use my tool every time, and it's been effective every time. And the last 2 months of February and all of March have been amazing for me. I'd say probably the best months of my life so far, in terms of like meaning and joy and fulfillment, and like living in alignment with who I want to be. Um, yeah, and my plan moving forward with this is every there's no artificial timeline to like adding more habits or shifting to like removing a different behavior. It's just building. Once I've hit or surpassed my goal in all of my habits 3 months in a row, I'll stack three more habits. That's the plan right now. That might be too much, you know and I'll figure that out if it is. But I think like there are like 7 or 8 more habits I want to add into my life, for the sake of like optimizing myself. but just I'm taking it slow and just focusing on these for now. And then once I have built consistency and I've demonstrated for months in a row that like I am reliably 90% of the time, 90% of days, I'm doing these behaviors, I'll add in more. Um, and so it's just gonna be that is what this channel at this point is. Like I'm not going for growth. I'm honestly like if no one watches these, I'm still gonna post them, and it's not for the sake of financial gain or anything. It's for the sake of documentation and my own accountability and like creating, like I just said, documentation that eventually I can use in the business I'm working on. So what this is going to be, I swear, I promise, these videos aren't going to be 40 fucking minutes moving forward. um, they are going to, I don't know, be like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, hopefully. I'll keep myself to that. And they're just going to be kind of me going over my week and just saying, like, this is what's working, this is what's not working, and me just documenting my thought process and my results as I am just trying to create progress in my life. The business I'm working on right now it's called Progress Theory. It's a community, and I'm trying to create it to be one day like a program for like I want to help through community feedback and through my own journey create a system for making for helping generate universal human progress. I think there are principles that apply to all humans because of, the similarities in our brain structure and the human experience that help make progress in any area of life. Like I think for all people, there's benefit to improving physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, intellectually, socially. I think everyone can utilize improvement in those areas, but it's still, universal. Some people just have different goals, and progress looks different to different people. And then everyone kind of has their own path they're trying to create in life. Of this is, everyone has their vision for what they want their life to be, and that's different, and that's absolutely okay. But I think there are universal principles that help get people where they want to go, that help people create progress and growth in their life. And I want to use this community to develop a program that its members can use to create that progress in their life. Like I said, this channel, at least for now, is not about generating members. I bet, 90% of people who watch this video aren't going to get to the end because it's long as shit. But if throughout this process of the next year, if you're watching this and there's any sort of interest in joining, like right now it's in its infancy, the components of it aren't created yet. It's pretty much right now just me posting accountability posts and a couple friends of mine doing the same. And if there's any sort of interest to join, like what it would be right now is just keeping each other accountable and discussing like what's working in our lives, what's not, where are we trying to go, and I don't know, jumping on a call once a month and just talking through like, okay, here's how this month has gone. Is the improvement I'm gonna try to make to create this change. It'll just be a very close knit community if you wanted to join at this point, where you and I, pretty much, I and a couple other people would just try to understand, try to grow together. So if there is any interest in that, I'll link it in the channel or below or both. I'm not sure. If not, absolutely okay. I'm just gonna keep documenting my journey and building myself into the person I want to be. And if there is no interest, if anyone who's made it this far doesn't really have interest in continuing to watch these videos or joining the community, it's absolutely okay. I appreciate you watching this far, and I hope you find all the growth and success you are looking for in your life. Yeah, until next week.